Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Finding a new podcast to listen to is easy. Finding a good new podcast, that's a little tougher. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. If you like fascinating information you can use in your life from some of the top experts in the world, you're going to like Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and recently we've covered topics like the benefits of laughing, the science of dreaming, where your deep desires come from, even how to make the perfect burger. We produce 3 episodes a week, and each episode is packed with rock-solid intel that will make your life better. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Something You Should Know has been ranked on the Apple Podcast charts every day for over 7 years. A lot of people like this podcast, and you will too. Listen to Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. It's Something You Should Know.
Previously on Buffering the Vampire Slayer.
Oh my god, last season 1, we talked about a whole bunch of things. We met Buffy and Willow and Xander and Angel and Cordelia. Wow, and Ms. Calendar and Principal Snyder and the Master and the Anointed One.
R.I.P. Principal Flutie.
R.I.P. the Master. Herbert the Pig also.
Yep, R.I.P.
Okay, so we met all those people and a bunch of people died. And
we learned
Buffy's
that
the
Angel was
Slayer.
a vampire, but he has a soul.
Oh my god, and also that he's very attractive.
Yes.
And
we learned that Xander can be problematic. We learned that Jenny Calendar is a techno-pagan.
Hyenas can possess you.
Witches are trapped inside statues at Sunnydale High School.
And sometimes a gigantic she-mantis just wants to try and mate with some virgin teen human boys.
Exactly.
We learned that if you ignore people for long enough, they actually disappear.
Oh, and we learned that Owen just wanted to date Buffy because she was dangerous.
Ugh, Owen. All right, well, I think that's the sum total of everything we learned last season. Let's move right on
to season 2.
Yeah. Welcome to the very first episode of Season 2 of Buffering the Vampire Slayer. This is a podcast where we're watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer one at a time. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I'm Kristen Russo, and this week we're discussing Season 2, Episode 1, When She Was Bad.
Stay tuned at the end of this podcast, this week and every week, for an original song written by us recapping the Buffy episode we're discussing.
Speaking of songs, Jenny, now that they can all listen to all of the songs that we wrote from season 1, you should probably tell them where they can find them.
What a great question. You can find them on iTunes, you can find them on Spotify, you can find them on Amazon Digital, you can find them on Google Play. They're all over the place. Wherever you get digital music, there's a pretty good chance you can find Buffering the Vampire Slayer songs from season 1. We also have just a few CDs left, I think, in our online store.
Yeah, I think we just
if
have,
you're
I
looking
think we
for
have
the
a handful.
physical deal.
Yeah. Also, we want to let you know that if you are in the Los Angeles area, we are doing a live taping of Buffering the Vampire Slayer on February 2nd at Nerd Melt Showroom.
What?
I know, it's so exciting. It's our first live taping because we did our show in New York, which, by the way, you can listen to that whole thing over at patreon.com/bufferingcast. But we did that show in New York, which was more of a music show. We played through the songs and we did a few interviews. It was super fun. But this is like straight up us sitting down and doing our episode live in front of an audience. So I'm nervous and excited.
So nervous, so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going
to have to be way better at this than we currently are.
No, we're going to be fine. It's going to be great.
Okay.
They'll just see us mess up and then we can edit the file.
Hooray!
So if you want to see us mess up, you just go to nerdmeltla.com and you can find out more about tickets and all of that good stuff. February 2nd, I believe it starts at 7 p.m. And now let us get back to talking about the episode.
When She Was Bad was written and directed by Joss Whedon and originally aired September 15th, 1997. This is the one where Buffy is so mean. Oh, do you say this is the one? I'm sorry.
The heck? This is the one where Buffy returns home from summer vacation sporting an attitude and also suffering from a recurring nightmare involving the Master. Meanwhile, the Anointed One and his followers plot their revenge. I read the summaries off of imdb.com. You're welcome.
Would you like to hear the summary I wrote when I forgot that I don't say this is the one where?
Yes.
This is the one where Buffy is so mean because she's working through her issues around the fact that she died last season. Also pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I have a feeling that I will always prefer your written version over IMDb's. No offense, IMDb.
IMDb, you're doing great work. Thank you. So, here we are, top of season 2. Oh my gosh.
Buffy has new hair.
Right. Xander and Willow are hanging out, just waiting for her to get back from LA with her new hair.
Yes.
Hanging around, talking to each other, playing rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my God. One of my first notes is, of course Xander is always scissors. And then I wrote the patriarchy. I don't know why, but it really just bothered me, you know? And I was like, typical.
I feel that.
You know, I don't have any further explanation, but discuss amongst yourselves.
So they're playing a game where they each say a movie quote.
Yes.
And the other has to tell them what movie that quote is from.
Great
I was
game.
thinking maybe we could play that just one round really quick.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
Are you ready?
You didn't prepare me though. I don't have a quote.
Well, you can think of one.
Oh God. Okay.
Think of one while I ask you yours.
Okay.
Which is, the quote is, I know my way around the kitchen. In a Scottish accent.
I have no idea.
Okay, how about...
I'm going to be horrible at this game, I promise you.
How about spared no expense? Same movie. How about... These are things I say all the time, by the way, just for you guys at home. How about clever girl?
Oh, Jurassic Park.
Yes!
Sorry, I wouldn't know the intricate... in a Scottish accent.
Yeah, is John Hammond Scottish? I'm not actually sure.
I don't know.
But anyway.
I should have just guessed Jurassic Park before you said your quote.
Right? That would have been amazing.
Which would have been my guess. If you had given me no quote. Okay, wait. Let me think of one.
Okay.
Okay, I have a quote.
Okay, hit me.
Do you like scary movies?
You know what's funny is Scream was my first guess before you gave me a quote.
Well, at least we know each other well.
Yeah.
Also, Scream, I chose Scream because it relates to this scene.
Yes.
Because we just learned that, so Xander, we all noticed that Buffy's hair is different, and Xander makes a comment about her new hair. Mm-hmm. And I just read that the reason that Buffy's hair is different is because in between filming seasons 1 and 2, she filmed Scream 2, where she got a hair change.
Yeah,
so
hair change.
we get to thank Wes Craven for Buffy's new hairstyle,
Yes,
which,
thanks, Wes.
as you know from listening to me in season 1, is absolutely my favorite way that could have gone. You know?
Absolutely. So right before she shows up, and we're seeing...
You guys, that was the most terrifying moment of my life. So Jenny was like, I was like, Scream, Wes Craven, horror movies, and Buffy. And then Jenny started to talk, and a man ran down our walkway. It's okay. He was just from Amazon. I don't know if you can hear the truck pulling away. But I thought that we were going to, it was...
You thought he wanted to know if we like scary movies?
Yes!
Woo, we made it through unscathed.
Anyhow, continue.
Oh, right before Buffy shows up, we're seeing Willow and Xander get closer and closer and closer, and they almost kiss, but then there's a vampire who must have seen their ad on, couples for threesome with vamp on Craigslist Sunnydale.
Uh-huh.
And he just sort of pops up in between them in an, I'm sorry, unrealistically close fashion.
Well, they're both entranced.
Fair. Okay, they are entranced.
Which I don't remember at all. This happened and I was like, now I know I've seen these episodes.
Yeah.
And I have no recollection of that. And I decided the reason I didn't remember was because nobody meant anything to me at this point when I was watching season 2.
Right. But also you have no memory.
That also
is a thing
is true.
To consider.
Also true.
So Xander, very heroically pushes Willow back and gets in a punch before Buffy shows up and delivers a chest kick that sends this vampire up and out into the out-sticking branch of a tree.
To which I
effectively dusting him.
exclaimed, the old twig in the back trick. And then Jenny laughed a lot.
Just like that. I'm consistent.
Also,
Okay.
like a solid fucking backhand, Xander.
Yeah.
He like swings his whole entire arm straight. Like that's the way that punch happens.
Well, he's just working with what he's got.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'm giving him credit. And then speaking
of credits. Look at these credit additions. David Boreanaz is there. There are like 3 new video clips that I think we see all of in this episode.
Yeah, I tried to write them down, but I didn't get them all. But the 3 that I noticed, one is Xander looking shocked. I don't believe that's in season 1. Then one is Buffy like coming up from grass, like it's eye level grass, and she's coming out. And then the third one, of course, is the one with 4 bodies swinging through the frame.
There's that, and then also her dusting a vampire from behind, which happens at the end of this episode.
Okay. Oh wow! So 2 moments from this episode are in the credits.
Yeah.
I guess they don't have that much filmed when they decide the credits.
Versus season 1 where they had all the episodes filmed before they went to air. Also, another important addition to the credits is there's now a sound effect that occurs when Buffy is firing a crossbow at the towards the end of the credits.
What does it sound like?
It's
I didn't notice.
Yeah, well, just go back and check it out.
Okay.
It's there. Post credits, they're catching up. They're like, yo, we buried the master right over there. We wore some robes.
I have so many questions. I have like a series of questions.
Okay.
Apparently all I did for the first 5 minutes was write questions.
Sure.
I have, how did Buffy miss the master's burial? Also, why is she so mad when they ask her about seeing Giles over the summer? Also, how does she get the summer off? Those were all of my immediate questions.
Right. Okay, wait. So start at the top there?
Well, how did she miss the burial? It was only prom. It wasn't the end of it wasn't great. It wasn't like...
Well, some people have prom at the end of the very end of the year.
Well, yeah, like in May or June.
Well, I'm pretty sure that episode aired in May, so...
But you don't end school. It's not like prom happens and then you never go back to school again.
But I think some schools are set up that way.
Lies.
Lies. I don't think it's a lie. I think some schools are set up that way.
Tell me sweet little lies.
And then what was your second question?
About school getting out before prom even happens.
What? Oh boy. What was your second question?
My second... You didn't
why is she so
answer my first question, but...
well, okay, so I'm telling you. My answer to your question is
Buffy was
some schools position prom all the way at the end. Okay. So it happens like essentially after graduation or whatever. But even then... Buffy probably had a plan to go visit her dad that it's not like she can be like, Dad, I can't come see you for this summer because I have to slay. Also, she's assuming that the majority of Hellmouth activity is over for the time being because she just killed the master. Also, she just died, so she probably, even if she wasn't scheduled to leave for her dad's right away, she probably was like, and I'm just going to move that trip up a little bit. And get the hell out of here.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
My second question was, why is she so mad when they ask her if she's seen Giles over the summer?
Because Giles is the symbol of the death experience she just had.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Like, there's a lot going on, and we're going to talk about it because we have a podcast about the show. There's a lot going on for Buffy in this episode because she's dealing with the trauma that was experienced at the end of last season, for sure. But it just seemed so specific to me. I mean, I guess it becomes more clear once we're seeing, like, the nightmares that she's having and, like, how tied into this Giles is. But, okay, so you answered. Great job.
Right.
2 out of 2,
Thank
Jenny.
you.
And then my third question was also, how does she get the summer off?
Well, I think it's the kind of deal, I feel like that was part of my answer for number 1, right? Like, plans to go visit your dad who's not married to your mom anymore and lives in a different city. That's probably going to happen whether or not you're the Slayer, because it's not like your mom knows you're the Slayer or your dad knows you're the Slayer.
So the Hellmouth just has to sit unattended because they can't be public about the fact that Buffy is the Slayer.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they also have reason to believe that they just thwarted the major big bad force in town and they haven't seen a vampire all summer. So
Right. It's just convenient. Like, does every season end at the summer?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
We'll have to look it up.
Here's something else. What is the something else I was just going to say? The library's looking great. It's almost as if the Hellmouth had never opened and a giant squiggly demon had never, scrambled all its tentacles out of the hole.
How do you think Principal Snyder denied, reality for that cleanup?
I think he's skilled at denying reality.
He's interesting, a crack in the floor and slime everywhere.
Kids these days.
Skeleton. Yeah, so my next notes in this episode are me screaming as every character enters.
Right.
So I'm Cordy, Snyder, Jenny Calendar, all in a row.
Yeah.
But we can start with Cordelia.
Sure, who's wondering if it's possible to have too much character.
Right.
Great question, Cordelia.
Great question. Also, I think Charisma Carpenter has a really bad cold in this episode.
Dude, yes, her voice is so raspy. Or she was just doing some extracurricular cheerleading between seasons or something and blew her voice out.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Or that. Cordelia enters in true Cordelia fashion.
Oh, yeah.
With her cordettes. Talking to
Two
her.
new cordettes I don't think we've seen before.
Yeah, they're brand new cordettes. I mean, one can never have too many cordettes.
Sure.
Right.
You need a fleet.
And
Takes a village.
And then we get this wonderful Snyder,
Yeah.
Giles. I love when Snyder and Giles interact.
It's great.
It's so fantastic. And I feel not only is it fantastic because of their characters and they're just polar opposite characters doing the same job, essentially, within the school anyhow. But also because they're both such incredible actors. I just feel I feel there's a lot of joy that you can see that they both have, that they get to act with each other, you know? And this is a great scene.
Right. Where he's talking about how, basically the hormones of teenagers and how boys are reduced to gibbering idiots when there's a pretty girl around. And of course, Giles doesn't really hear him because he's too busy becoming a gibbering idiot because Ms. Calendar just got there.
Yeah.
Then they're connecting. They're heading to the teacher's lounge. She's like, I went to Burning Man. Of course she did.
I went to Burning Man. And then she has the same intonation. So she's like, Giles is like, I read a book. That's probably super boring to you. And Jenny Calendar is like, depends on the book, which is exactly how she said, that's not where it dangles. Yes. She has one intonation for flirting, and that is it.
And it's very effective. Why, if it ain't broke, why add a second one that is less broke?
It is effective on Giles and Jenny. My wife, Jenny.
Oh, me.
Yes, you. It works on both Giles and Jenny Owen Young's. Jenny Calendar's
Jenny
flirting.
Calendar says something, and I look over sideways at Kristen. Did you just hear that?
Yeah, and then but sometimes you stand up or rise up in your seat. You get very excited. You're like, look what just happened.
To be fair, I do that for a lot of things.
Yes,
just
that's true.
For those of you at home who aren't familiar with what watching television next to me is like, so then Xander, Willow, and Buffy pull up to Giles and Ms. Calendar, and Sarah Michelle Gellar with some fantastic eyeball acting.
Ooh.
Where she, Xander and Willow both say something, I believe, to Giles and
well,
Ms. Calendar.
Xander
says G-Man, which is
G-Man.
Such a bummer.
When we watched the episode 3 for the first time, it was really perfect because Xander was like, G-Man, and Jenny was like, no. And then Giles was like, never call me that again. And you were so excited that Giles laid down Jenny's law in that moment.
Yes, Jenny's law. So Xander and Willow both interact with him, and then Buffy's kind of hanging back, and she looks at Giles and then looks away really fast. And it's just I see you,
Yeah, say more.
Somebody that you're scared to talk to, somebody that you don't want to talk to.
Right.
Kristen, you've seen me make an about face and try to just escape physical situations.
I have so many times, starting with the very beginning of our relationship, as a matter of fact. I'll tell you this fun story. Right when Jenny and I were first starting to get to know each other and flirting, and Jenny was not interested, and I was flirting, and Jenny was not interested, I went to see one of Jenny's shows, and I crested the top of the staircase at Irving Plaza, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, Jenny was out there at the merch table. She had not gone backstage yet. And I was like, oh, and I went to say hey, and she made direct eye contact with me, spun on her heel, and walked in the opposite direction.
I like to avoid uncomfortable situations whenever possible.
So you really identified with this Buffy moment.
I really did.
So we immediately go from this moment in the hallway to Buffy being trained.
Yeah, with some rock music and a lot of kicks and battering of Giles
and
with a bow.
Huge moment for a stunt double.
Yeah, that stunt double is live in.
But
seriously.
Sarah Michelle Gellar has definitely been training on punches, I think, because there are a couple of scenes where it is on her face and she's punching, and it's very apparent that she's been doing some work to know how to like punch even better than she could punch in season 1.
Yep. And she's working herself up into a froth, and Giles is looking more and more concerned.
Right. She snaps the thing in
punch
half.
dummy right in half.
And we hear her say in this scene a line that she will repeat over and over and over again during this episode. This scene, she says, "Whatever they've got coming next, I'm ready." And this is just like what she continues to say. I'm fine. I'm ready. I can
take care of myself.
Yes, I can take care of myself. Her whole MO is like, I don't need anyone. I can fight this myself. I'm an independent human being. Everybody fuck off. I kind of hated this episode because of that. It was a real struggle for me to get
It's
through
really rough to watch this episode because the character you're supposed to be pulling for the hardest is not endearing themselves to us at all.
Yeah.
So then we get to Buffy's nightmare.
Oh, and nobody knows it's a nightmare at first. It's so rough.
Yeah, it's very Craven-y, I feel like, right? It's
it is
so sunny.
Well, it's right. It's a little sunnier, but not enough for me to have realized that this was a nightmare, though.
Right.
But it does have that, like, well, because it's it's the scene that is exactly what you would expect to be the next scene of the show. Takes this like hard turn with Giles, and you're like, what? Because you have this moment of like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then of course it's very apparent very quickly. I mean, to me watching it, it was very apparent. The moment that Giles like punched her, you're like, oh,
yeah.
You don't. I don't think. This can't be right. But
and the line that precedes it.
What's the line? See, I thought I didn't right away. I mean, the line is terrifying, but I was like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. I mean, I know I've seen this. I know that Giles is not like an evil character, but it's still. I was still like, wait, what's going on? So yeah, but
what's interesting is right at the beginning of their conversation, Xander has a line before you realize that it's a dream where he says, "Dreams are meaningful."
Right.
She's saying, "I just have
there's your Craven."
Right, dreams are meaningful.
There's your meta, right? Your meta shit coming through, and then so this is like really disturbing. Giles, attacks Buffy, and then like while that attack is happening, the creepiest part of the nightmare for me was that when the camera pans to Xander and Willow,
who are just going about their business,
they're just
nothing's happening. Yeah,
they're just smiling and whatever, which is exactly dreams, you guys. It's like she's come back, she's been traumatized, and she feels like Xander and Willow are acting like everything's normal. She's trying to act like everything's normal.
Right. Then Giles' face comes off, and it turns out that he's actually the master. And this is the first time we see a vampire in sunlight.
Oh,
the first time we see a vampire in daylight.
Good fact.
Turns out, daylight, the master is still terrible to look upon. Fruit and punch mouth, still awful.
I could have told you that. We didn't have to find out. You could have just asked me to hypothesize, and I would have told you.
Well, now you know.
But, right, so she rips the face off. It's the master. It's scary. She wakes up.
Angel's just sitting in her window being super hot.
Oh, Angel. My note is Angel, hi.
We must know each other well.
Into one
I think
person?
We might be, because my note is, "Oh, hi, Angel," in the window.
Nice. And then I wondered to myself, is she just mad about the master in this moment, or is she really mad that Angel didn't come over to make out? Because I think
she is mad about the master, and also she's projecting like an extra layer of stuff onto Angel because he's a vampire. There's extra venom.
Yes. But, like, maybe also a little bit because he doesn't want to make out.
Well, she does say that she missed him, but it's too late. So
right. And, like,
if he had woken her up by spooning her, maybe she would have been less grumpy.
She started by saying, like, is this a social call or are you here on business? And he was like, I'm here. It's not a social call.
Yeah, so maybe she would have been, okay.
If he was like, just here because I want to spoon ya, she'd probably be like, yeah, Actually, she probably wouldn't, because you're right. That whole other thing is there with the fact that he's a vampire and she's conflicted. But my point being, they should have just made out. The scene would have been better.
That's a great way to improve any and all scenes of season 2, is if we could just get Buffy and Angel to be making out.
Yeah.
The music cue here I just want to talk about for 1 second is this Alison Krauss song called "It Doesn't Matter." And I believe it's played sort of transitionally from like the end of this scene into the next scene. And the lyric is, it doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what I need. It doesn't matter if I cry. Don't matter if I bleed.
Wow.
Which I feel like is one of the more on-the-nose music cues we've heard so far.
Good song selection. Do we know how involved Joss was in the music selection?
We do not.
Because, you know, every time that something amazing happens musically, I wonder about his involvement, because I feel like in conversations we've had, when we talked to Steven last season, you know, his whole conversation with us was about how when he went to audition for a part in season 1, Joss had like a piano in his office. You know, there are a lot of things that have let us know that Joss Whedon likes music, which is why I know he's going to like this podcast, because it has music in it, whatever. But, you know, this episode especially, right? You're talking about this Alison Krauss song. Eventually we're going to talk about Cibo Matto.
Like in 5 seconds we're going to talk about Cibo Matto.
And so I just in my mind, in my like fantasy of this show, like Joss Whedon is, you know, taking a walk and he has his like Discman on him and he's listening to Cibo Matto and he's like, oh man, this would be great for the first episode of the second season. And then he's like, someone get me Cibo Matto. And everybody runs and they get him Cibo Matto. And that's how it happens. So
yeah, I don't have any intel, but just based on sort of what I know about the curation of like the soundtrack and the bands that they have on the show and the songs that get used in episodes, like they all seem of the same taste for the most part. Right. They all seem like they are connected to one person's taste. Right. To me. And I don't know how much I'm like projecting or whatever, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway,
he's quite involved.
The Alison Krauss song, beautifully placed.
The Alison Krauss song.
It means a lot.
Okay.
And then Buffy I know you said it already, but this horrible heart-wrenching moment when Buffy says, I missed you too, and he's gone because you waited too long, Buffy, because you're being an asshole.
Yeah, she's just not having a good time. Then she's in her car with her mom. She's not saying anything back.
My next note is Buffy, exclamation point, pant, exclamation point, suit, exclamation point.
Oh, she's right. Wearing like a jacketless pantsuit.
Yeah, she's wearing like a white tank top that's tucked into like Dockers. I mean,
God, do you remember
Dockers, that's the wrong.
Like what? Like that was a real thing.
Yeah,
we participate. We were complicit.
Great. I would wear that outfit tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a great outfit.
Okay.
I love that outfit.
Okay.
Speaking of pantsuits and all things fashion, I think this is a good time for us to hear from our dear friend Kate for a Buffy fashion watch.
Yeah. It's time for our friend Kate to give you the Buffy fashion update.
Welcome back to Buffy Fashion Watch as we commence our trek into the glory that is Season 2. I'll start this segment by saying something pretty shocking. Willow has the best outfit of this episode. I know. But in the very last scene, with those pigtails and her belted jeans and that flowered shirt, she looks really cute. It's very adorable. We get Cordelia back, and I know that's where you would expect me to go, and she does fine, but she's got these bangs I just don't love. Blow-dried brown brush PC bangs are one of the less flattering byproducts of the 90s. There were hair highlights, except for highlights, which were kind of a low light. But anyway, what I want to see make a comeback is the makeup. Fun fact, I was actually a makeup artist before I gave up that life for the glamorous world of comic books, so I know a thing or two. This episode has some of my favorite 90s trends, and you might not agree with me, but that's fine. Brown and coppery pink lipstick, heavy lip liner under metallic gloss, bronzer, everything in warm tones. This is the era of Bobbi Brown, where the buzzwords were frosted and brownish black, and everyone wanted to look like Rachel on Friends, and frankly, I think it gets more flack than it deserves. Here's a tip. If you ever decide to do a Buffy costume, no matter which female character, really focus on mascara more than eyeliner. Thin brows, it was the time before everybody filled them in. Actually, people were plucking them probably more than they should have. And then neutral shadows, and bronzer if you feel like it. Unless you're Cordelia, of course, in which case you probably don't give a damn what anyone says. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I'll see you at the mall.
That was our friend Kate. She gave you the Buffy fashion update. Thank you, Kate, for that very educational makeup rundown. I didn't know any of those things. I barely know what mascara is.
That is a lie. I know you have mascara.
But barely.
That's true. So a great place to go post Buffy Fashion Watch is talking about Cordelia again.
Right.
Because this is the moment in
Do you agree with Kate? Pro-bang, anti-bang?
I'm pro Cordelia. So
I just like it better when they brush them to the side in this episode rather than just combing them straight down over her forehead.
Yeah, no, I mean in the scene in the alleyway, she has them pushed to the side, right?
That sounds right.
Or
I think
she has, like, a headband on?
I think they're only straight down in this scene when she's talking about
Right.
how.
Okay,
of course
yeah,
she didn't
so-
tell anyone about that crazy Hellmouth thing because then she would have to tell people she was hanging out with them.
Right. So yes, I do prefer her with the bangs swept to the side. But let me tell you
Yeah.
again, I will take Cordelia.
You prefer Cordelia over
anything?
Cordelia.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Cordelia over anything but Cordelia.
She's all for game, calling them the Three Musketeers.
But I wrote down. I love this. This might be my favorite Cordelia moment in the whole episode. It's a tie. but I love this because they're like, Cordelia, the Three Musketeers were really cool, and she's like, you have a point. Like, you know what I mean? She's not like, whatever, screw off. She's like, oh shit,
Right.
yeah. I'm also familiar with the narrative arc of the Three Musketeers.
Right.
Okay, so yes.
I like the personal demons that Xander comes up with as examples that are lust and thrift to be avoided at all costs.
Also, did nobody tell Cordelia not to tell it? Like, I really find it hard to believe that they, like, kill the master, they go to prom, and no one says to Cordelia, maybe keep this on the DL.
There are a lot of instances where, in this show, where it's a scene ends and there's no way that they didn't keep hanging out and talking about stuff.
Right.
But yet, they'll jump to a scene like the next morning. And it's like, so anyway, picking up right where we left off last night when we ended the conversation sharply and for no perceivable reason.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm glad that she did keep it quiet. And then my next moment is at the bronze, so I don't know.
Well, Buffy delivers a killing blow to Cordelia when she says, you won't tell anyone I'm the Slayer, and I won't tell anyone you're a moron. And then she swishes off, and no thank you.
And, like, you can tell that Cordelia is totally unaffected by it. Like, it doesn't hurt her feelings, but it hurt mine. I was hurt. I didn't think that anybody needed to call Cordelia any bad names.
That was unnecessary.
Yeah, and you can see Willow's face is like, yo, what? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the moment when Willow is first like, okay, something seems super off here. This is not usually how, like, these are not our normal roles, right? Cordelia should be the one saying something mean, not Buffy.
Right.
So,
Right.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the Skin Safe seal of approval.
they've also earned the Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristen Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristen and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening and I am happy.
I have used 1 billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin, like, lotion, the moisturizer that I used and the under eye cream that I use, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them. And I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Right. Okay,
Right.
so we get to the bronze.
Cibo Matto is there.
Cibo Matto is playing Spoon, which is a song that I actually love both songs that they play. But Spoon, I was interested to learn because I immediately, after watching this episode in my current context, was like, oh, they played two songs and they're from their two albums that I'm like very familiar with. I wonder why they played like one and then the other. And it turns out this episode was in September 1997, right? In between Viva la Woman, which is where Sugar Water appears the first time, which was released in 1995, and Stereotype A, which came out in 1999, they released an EP called Super Relax, which was comprised of songs from both of those albums, and I think a couple of covers. So Sugar Water and Spoon are both on Super Relax, which came out at the beginning of 1997. So that makes perfect sense that they would play one song from each of their records because they were both kind of on this.
Whoa, Jenny.
Sorry, I needed to know.
That's great. I hope we hear more from you like this about music in the show.
Well, I'll also tell you that, like, oh my God, after you're done listening to this episode, go look up the music video for Sugar Water. I made Kristine watch it, and she was like, it's giving me a headache because I didn't explain anything.
Yeah, because the video is like a side by side, and I'm gonna just let you know in advance that the one on the left is moving forward, and the one on the right is moving in reverse.
Yes.
I didn't have any warning about what this video was, and so I'm trying to watch it, and it took me the full first minute to even realize that they were going in separate directions.
It's my bad.
I really liked it. I'm gonna go back and watch it again, and I'm sure I will enjoy it, but it gave me a pounding headache because I was trying to piece together what was happening in the video, but also trying to piece together what was happening in the side by, like,
right.
You know, it was a lot.
And like, I didn't give you the information that you needed up front to like truly experience it the way it should be experienced. But and I was worried after we finished watching it. I was like, oh, Kristine hates Cibo Matto. I like really fucked up. Oh no. But then I like left the room, and 1 minute later I hear Know Your Chicken playing, and she's like watching the video for Know Your Chicken, which is definitely a stranger song and stranger video than Sugar Water or Spoon. I would maybe check out Know Your Chicken.
Maybe you should check it out. I think if you don't
watch the video for Sugar Water.
I didn't know. I think when we had Kate on the show, like in here with us, Kate brought up the Cibo Matto episode, and I just played along like I also knew about Cibo Matto, you know, but I didn't. I've heard their name. I know they are a band.
Right.
But that's like as far as my knowledge went. So this was like my first
proper intro.
My proper intro to Cibo Matto.
Oh, they're so great.
Yeah.
Check out their records. They're so great.
They seem like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we're at the bronze, and here's a horrible moment.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't
In the midst of Xander and Willow talking about how Buffy's kind of being mean, Willow tries the ice cream on the nose trick, and Xander ignores it and is mean. It's just the worst.
It's just so painful to watch.
Who would build such a cruel world?
Oh, Willow. Oh, poor sweet Willow. With the
really
ice
rough.
cream on your nose.
I know.
Oh, my heart in a million pieces. And then I guess we must cut to the lair, or to not the lair, but the
grave of the master.
to the grave of the master because my note is, God, the anointed one's tiny fucking turtleneck body. Because I can't deal with the new. It's like the old anointed, season 1 anointed one. He's like in a hoodie, like he's probably wearing Converse, like he's not, but like in my mind, he's like Converse, zipped up hoodie.
Right.
You know, he's got like a little like.
Now he's like, where's his beret?
Yes, he has like a black turtleneck and black pants, and then like this weird like hair coif that's happening.
Yeah.
So upsetting. A turtleneck on a tiny body like that is just, there's just something.
You just interrupted him reading some poetry and eating a croissant.
Yeah, seriously.
So the vampires are exhuming the skeleton of the master. And here are 2 things that need to be said. First of all, the vampire ringleader of this episode, whose name is Absalom, which I like because of the William Faulkner novel Absalom, which is a beautifully written novel that I read in college for a Southern American literature course.
Do you think that's where his name came from?
I think
Probably,
so.
Right?
That's my vibe on it. So Absalom says to the vampire lady with the bangs, "Don't just stand there, dig." Meanwhile, he is just standing there.
Yeah, well, he's like the top one. He's like top dog.
Yeah, but he's like in service to the anointed one.
He is, but it's like...
His hands are more important than everybody else's.
Well,
hands.
like, okay, because the master had the anointed one, right? Like, the anointed one was like the master's right hand, right? And so, of course, the master's gone now. And so the anointed one would have like a right hand. And I feel like that's Absalom, who I didn't know that person's name until right now.
Right.
You know, he's there to like oversee and be like, I also think he's like the strength of the operation, you know? The anointed one is like the brains and
he's the kind of brawn.
Yeah, and he's like
bloused, flapping armed brawn. Such an interesting choice. He kind of runs with his arms out to the side and some of his shrieking.
His shrieking is really serious.
He's like a man possessed, which I guess that's exactly kind of the definition of a vampire. But the second thing that needs to be said about the location of the grave of the master is that Giles, Xander, and Willow went into a graveyard and just added a grave.
Yeah.
They just went into a graveyard and they were like, we'll just put one in between these 2 other ones.
Yeah.
Nobody probably will notice.
Also, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I don't understand why they buried the skeleton.
Well, I think there was like a ritual aspect to it, but why wouldn't you destroy it?
Why wouldn't you? And that is what Buffy asks Giles later in this episode is like, if you knew this was even a possibility, why the fuck did you bury the bones? Like,
well, I think it's just that he was working with the best knowledge he had at the time.
Right. No, and I'm not throwing Giles under the bus.
We certainly understand why Buffy's like, WT fuck.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, back to the bronze.
Matto's playing Sugar Water, which is a beautiful song that I love so much and also happens to be the greatest song ever for like a montage of like betrayal, extreme cruelty, and like kind of, well, like sexy stuff or like attempted sexy stuff.
Yeah.
Also pleased as punch to see that Angel is a Cibo Matto fan. I'm assuming that's why he's at the bronze, because he loves Cibo Matto.
Yeah, he doesn't say why he's there, so.
But when we when we're first directed to his attention, the both times we watched, Kristen and I burst out laughing hard because he whips his head around on the beat.
So the song starts like with a spoken word part, right? And then the beat hits, and Buffy's shoe hits the ground on the beat.
Right.
She has entered. She's wearing a slinky red dress with, no back to it whatsoever. And she saunters in, and then they cut to Angel, and he whips around. They were like...
Just on the beat.
Yes, it's just
perfectly on
It's so dramatic and not suave and hysterically funny.
Well, okay, this is like some prime jealous Angel.
Well, that's the yeah.
Right? That's like all we see kind of throughout the episode, but especially here. It's just so like raw and great, and it's
really good. And also something that's great in this moment is that, so, what's about to unfold is that Buffy essentially is going to use everyone against everyone else.
It's the worst.
Right?
But
she's
also
using,
like so crafty.
It's horrible.
The worst.
Horrible. She's using Xander against Angel. She's using, Xander against Willow. It's like everyone in the equation is hurt. by this.
Great job, Buffy.
Great job, Buffy. But what is so beautiful is that the beat drops, Buffy walks in, we see Angel whip around, and then as she crosses the room, we see Cordy watching over the whole scene.
Right.
She's not talking to any Cordettes. She's standing back and she's literally observing the scene.
Yeah, taking some notes.
Oh
my God. Then Buffy's all like, I've moved on to the living.
Right.
And it's like, oh, deep burn. And then Willow's like, what's wrong with Angel? And it cuts to Angel looking so bummed.
So like bajiggity, you know?
Super bajiggity.
He's just
then Buffy's like, I know what to do. I'll take Xander onto the dance floor. Listen, Xander and Buffy together on a dance floor is the worst chemistry I think I've ever seen.
Also,
they're it's like Xander and I think Nick Brendan and David Boreanaz are around the same height. Mm-hmm. Maybe Nick Brendan is just like an inch taller, maybe. But like for some reason, her with Xander looks so disproportionate. And he's just kind of standing there, and she's like doing this weird shoulder roll. Which, like, listen, you got to do what you got to do, and I'm not disrespecting anybody's dance style. I'm just saying
that shoulder roll, though.
This particular incarnation, like, whatever is being attempted is not being achieved.
No, I think that something is achieved in this scene. I don't think that.
Oh no, I didn't mean like.
Well, but like, I mean, I think that. I feel like what's being communicated, because I feel like they weren't like, hey, Sarah, can you be sexy? And this was what she did. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that there was more to it. It's like she's sort of possessed. I mean, she's not, but that's the theory that will come up.
Right.
She's not herself. She's acting so extreme in every way.
So she's dancing with Xander, weirdly. Willow and Angel are both so bummed. Then Buffy leaves Xander in the middle of the dance floor with what we can all only assume is a massive boner.
Seriously, Jenny?
Seriously!
Take it back. You have betrayed. We probably just lost 400,000 listeners.
Should I redact massive?
No. I'm gonna cry.
I'm so sorry. But like, I don't know how penises work, but I'm just assuming here that if you were a teenage boy who was in love with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and then she did that to you and then walked off the dance floor, you would probably be
right. And that's how she uses Xander against Xander too. She literally gets everyone in this scene.
And the look on his face really suggests something.
But also the look on his face while she was dancing with him, like I felt like he was very aware of it the whole time.
Right.
He definitely wasn't like, oh man, this is the best day of my life. Which is, you know what? For some credit to Xander.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty serious. Like he wasn't just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like if this is the way I get it, this is the way I get it. He was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what to do. Also, small note, if you go back and watch the scene, there's a beautiful a camera pan, where it's going across the dance floor and it's sort of like you can see them dancing and then it goes like in front of bodies, and I noted it as the choker pan because it like pans across a person very closely and it's just their neck and they're wearing a choker and then it comes out the other side and they're dancing, and I was like, well, if that's not a 1990s camera move,
wow,
you know,
choker pan.
A choker pan.
Then Buffy leaves. Just tons of chaos in her wake. Mm-hmm. And Cordelia follows her outside. And when Cordelia steps in to tell you that you're being a jerk, you know that you must be fucking up.
Right? And also, there's a great, I don't know if this was intentional or not in the show, but Cordelia says in response to Buffy, because Buffy's like, oh, are you nervous about like me being a better bitch than you? And Cordelia says, I can hold my own. And I just thought it was funny because that's Buffy's message the whole time, is that she can take care of herself, she can hold her own.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then Cordelia comes out to give her advice, and Buffy's like, fuck off. And Cordelia's like, fine, I'll go dance with Angel then. Which I love.
But she doesn't get a chance to because she gets carried off by some vampires.
Before she gets carried off by the vampires, can we just show some Cordelia love for this moment?
Yes.
Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
Okay, so Cordelia, who we love, Cordelia, who is perfect, has just been carried off by the vampire crew and deposited in the same holding tank where they apparently have Ms. Calendar.
Yes, and Jenny, upon first viewing this scene, said, "Kiss, kiss."
Well, because what if they did? They may never escape. This may be their last night on Earth. They should have kissed. Although the student-teacher thing is a little inappropriate.
Well, I bring this up because I think it might. There's a lot of potential sexual tension awards in this episode.
Oh yeah,
right. Because obviously you had a moment with Cordelia and Miss Calendar, but there's also Giles and Miss Calendar. There's also Xander and Willow. There's also Xander and Buffy. There's also Angel and Buffy.
There's also Xander, Willow, and the vampire.
Right. Wow. Should we give it to them?
I like that idea.
Okay. Our first non-monogamous sexual tension award.
And the first sexual tension award of season 2.
Going to Xander, Willow, and Vamp. Beautiful.
Congratulations to all.
Yes.
Okay.
So my next note is just Giles hates soda.
Well, Giles does hate soda. He drinks that Coca-Cola and looks like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, it's like the moment is so subtle and not like no attention is called to it.
It's great.
It's pretty great. And then
so they're talking about how they think Buffy is possessed, maybe.
Right. Or as Giles puts it, that Buffy might have issues.
Issues.
Why
what you Americans call issues.
Issues.
And then Buffy rolls up and is like, yo, the Master's grave is empty.
Yeah, and why doesn't, like, here's the thing. I know that, like, they're students and, like, Giles is a teacher, but also we know that that's not actually their relationship. Why does Buffy see that the Master's grave is dug up and go home and go to sleep and wake up in the morning and then come to school and tell everybody? It just seems like they're probably at a point where she would call Giles or go to his house or something.
Yeah, but they maybe don't have the budget for that set.
Right, we haven't seen Giles' house yet. That's true. So yeah, but anyway, she tells them now. Guess what? Master's gone missing. Dun dun dun.
And then, is it right just then, while they're having this conversation, that the big old rock comes through the window with Cordelia's bracelet wrapped around it?
Well, no, because I thought the same thing, but I feel like the conversation starts in the lunchroom or in the cafeteria.
Right.
And then Snyder comes along and he's like, you're students and you have a job. And, that shit happens. And then he's like, we'll talk about trout in the library.
Right.
So then they go to the library. And this is when the rock comes through the window.
And when Buffy's like, I can take care of myself. You guys are dumb. I can't look out for you and fight vampires at the same time.
I hated that. That line, I can't look after the three of you anymore is like super shitty because maybe you don't remember who saved your life like 40 times last season, Buffy.
Yeah, maybe you don't remember who actually brought you back to life after you had been killed, but that was Xander.
Right.
Doing a great job.
Like everyone is, but she is just, I mean, this whole episode is Buffy dealing with trauma, and so we will give her a pass, but I'm going to say it again. It was very hard to watch this episode because a character that I'm supposed to be rooting for is stepping all over characters that I love and feel very protective over.
It's tough.
So off she goes because she's being an asshole.
But Angel's following her in one of Sunnydale's many dark alleys.
Yes.
And he says, why are you riding me?
Why are you
question
riding me?
If somebody's going to ask me that question, I would hope it would be David Boreanaz.
Right?
Or, well, Angel.
Also, like, later in this exact moment, like, in this exact scene, Buffy's like, come on, kick my ass.
Oh, the worst!
There's a lot of, like, stuff happening.
Yeah.
You know?
But this, like, thing where Buffy decides to try to get Angel to fight her.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's obvious that she just, like, is trying to be the worst possible version of herself, and she's really applying herself to that pursuit.
Right.
Like, we get it, the trauma, and so on. But it is still, like, woof to watch. Girl.
You know? But because she isn't making, like, nothing is, like, really linear here for her. It's not like she's like, well, I must save the world. Because she stops just to talk to Angel and be like, you want to fight me? Let's fight. Like, she's just like...
Kick my ass.
Just all over the place.
And so on. Okay. So
brief
interjection.
Yes.
Really noticing Angel's hair in this episode.
Oh.
Really being reminded that vampires can't see their own reflection. Really, really, really thinking hard about how his hair gets to be the way that it is if he can't see it.
Well, he's been doing it for like 400.
His hair did not look like that 242 years ago.
Yeah, like when do you think he decides to change his hairstyle?
And when do you think he decides to make it that?
What is it in this episode? Spikier?
I mean, it's just like, I guess it's sort of more of the same, but I feel like everybody sort of looks like a slightly refined version of their season 1 selves.
Right.
Everybody looks like they like did the whole 30 and like got a haircut in between seasons.
Right.
And sorry, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking about it. He makes that happen. He can't see it. He made a choice to like aim for that. It's a whole thing. It's just one of the show's many mysteries that we can continue to discuss.
So of course Buffy goes into this room and, you know, vamp Cordelia at the bronze, right? And this like Cordelia resembling vamp is crying in the corner and she's like, "You can't fool me. I know you're not Cordelia." And then Angel is like, "Okay,
there's the bait. Where's the hook?"
That's exactly what he says. Very good job. And then they realize, of course, that the vampires have gone after Willow and Giles and Xander because Buffy has left them because Buffy's being, I don't know if you've noticed, an asshole.
Kind of a jerk.
Right. And so she runs back to the library. Xander is there, beaten, you know, his face is all bloody.
Right.
And he has fucking had it with Buffy.
And he says, "If they hurt Willow, I'll kill you," which is interesting because like Xander definitely could not kill Buffy.
Yeah, but it's the sentiment, you know?
Right. And I think it's that sentiment that really kind of like is one of the things that sort of like
shakes her.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what are you doing? And then, so she takes Xander back to the bronze where this...
For a little vampire torture.
And I would like to put in a formal request. Buffy, can you please use the fucking clasp on your necklace to take your necklace off? This is the second time in 2 episodes that you have ripped it off your neck.
She ain't got time for clasps.
Like, how many chains are we going to go through?
It's just enough. It's
just have some respect.
But also, here's the thing. Did you take note of the lady vampire's oral prosthetics?
Yeah, they were weird.
They were like the gums extended far below, the upper gum extended far below the lip bottom.
Yeah.
And then protruded out really far also. I wonder what that's a result of.
Yeah, why? I mean, it was just a choice, I guess, because there was no explanation for that. But I did notice it. I did sure notice it. So my next question, because, they torture her. They find out where they are. Which, like, also, come on, vampire. I really thought that she was going to hold it together. She didn't. She gave it up.
Imagine if somebody was pouring, like, acid down your throat.
Yeah, okay.
You would probably be like, "It's over there."
Yeah, I would. And then my question is, how long can you hang upside down before you die?
Oh, a while.
Yeah?
I think so.
I just want to know if anybody knows how long you can hang upside down before you die.
Please send us an email at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
And make sure it's right, because then I'm going to hang upside down for just 1 second less than you say. So you better be accurate.
Nice. Yes, please be accurate. So they go to where the vampires are holed up, hanging her friends upside down, and she's all like, "I'm going to kill them all. That ought to distract them."
Right, which is a good moment.
Yeah, great moment, great moment. Then the ringleader vamp.
Well, right.
Such a zealot.
Buffy, the scene where Buffy kills the first vamp, is that what you're going to talk about? Or
Yeah,
before
go ahead.
It's just so funny to me. Like, she comes up behind the vampire, dusts him, and then is standing, of course, in his place, in that dead vampire's place. And it cuts to, what's his name?
Absalom,
who screams. Can we just put his scream in here? Wow. Okay. So I don't know why I don't know why. That's all I have
We just
to say.
know that it happened.
Yes.
Then he says, after Buffy fights her ass off and dusts all those other vamps, he says, "I'll grind you into a sticky paste."
Yeah, and the next line, which I don't know what it is, but it rhymes with that line. Because I wrote down, does the lead vampire speak in iambic pentameter?
And I actually looked up all his dialogue before we started taping. We hadn't discussed this yet, but I had the same thought. None of his other lines apparently rhyme.
He just really went for that one.
That was the one.
Maybe maybe his last words are iambic pentameter. Maybe that's his deal. Because that is, I mean, I don't know. No, I'm just saying iambic pentameter. I don't think it actually checks out.
Because isn't pentameter...
it needs more than 2 lines. Yeah.
Right? And this is, I'll grind you into a sticky paste.
Oh, it's missing a whole
It's
syllable.
missing a whole syllable.
Oh, it's like the worst form of any.
Yeah, I'm sorry we even did that to your ears. Carry on.
Anyhow, so Buffy snaps the candelabra. She sets him on fire. She uses the other end, I think, of the candelabra to kill the other guy.
Yep.
And then Willow is like, it's over. And Xander is like, no, it's not. Right? No.
Because Buffy has to go whack-a-master.
Oh, boy.
What do you think about the term I just coined?
Did you work hard on that?
I did not.
You
It
just
came to
made
me
it up
in
right
an
now.
instant.
Whack-a-master.
Whack-a-master.
One of the trivia facts that I read on IMDb before we taped was that there's apparently, I didn't notice this during our watch, but there's apparently a hand, one of the master's bone hands, that only has the middle finger left on it. That is, I guess, given some screen time.
And it's like aimed at Buffy.
At one moment it's aimed at Buffy.
Pretty great.
So hopefully that was intentional.
I have a question unrelated to this specific episode, but we see it here. We've seen Angel fight vampires and don vamp face while he's doing it. And my question is, can vampires detect other vampires if they're not in vamp face? Do vampires know each other? Because we think they can smell blood, right? We think maybe they're more sensitive to body heat.
But there's an episode in season 1 where they specifically tell Angel to, maybe they tell him to put on his vamp face.
Yes.
I see. So I don't know.
So we'll just have to keep an eye.
Yeah.
And a fang on that.
Yep, just one fang. So Buffy, of course, smashes all of the Master's bones.
And it's clear that she has received at least some of the catharsis that she desperately needed to help process her trauma. She's crying in Angel's arms. Everyone's looking on knowingly.
And then we cut to Cordelia, who is so excited to have a new person to talk to about the most recent goings-on at the Hellmouth.
What an ordeal, she says.
Oh, she's like, oh my God, Jenny Calendar. After we made out at the bronze and then we got in that fight, it took me so long to get those rust stains out of my shirt. And Jenny Calendar is like, oh boy.
Yeah, that really is the worst thing about being hung upside down by a clan of vampires that wants to drain you of all your blood. And then we see Buffy talking to Giles. She's scared to see her friends.
Yeah, and Giles has another dadly moment here.
Best dad ever. Dad of the year.
Dad of the year, where he's just like, Buffy, he tries to be comforting and says this isn't the worst mistake you'll ever make. But it's I think that lands well. It's okay to make mistakes, and we understood that you were going through something very real here. They were all there. They were all there with her. They all saw what happened, and allowed, of course, for their friend to process grief and process trauma, which is what friends and watchers should do.
Oh.
Did you like that?
I really did.
I'm so glad. Yes.
Well, Xander and Willow saved Buffy a seat in class. They saved her a seat and then they start making jokes.
And the best kind of jokes, Yeah. Because they're making jokes about the teacher, but then Xander's like, or we could just smash, the bones of our nemesis or whatever.
Talcum powder. But gee, we did that last night.
Right. And that's I just feel like that's the sign of a true friend, is when something horrible happens to you and you need to laugh and they know the boundaries, right? They know that the only way to actually get through this is to call it out and make a joke of it, and he knows that, and they do that, and they're the Scoobies. I have Scoobies! Exclamation point. And then
the perfect synthesis, the coming together of their personalities and the levity and the seriousness and everything triggers that most recognizable of television tropes, the inspirational piano song that enters as we sort of pan around them a little bit for you think the credits are going to come up.
But they don't. But also before we leave this scene, this orchestrated scene, there's a couple of things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
One is that I really like that Xander is we should play mini golf, and then he gets shot down, and then you barely hear him, and he's like, how about mini tennis? So that got me. But more importantly, very solid 90s outfits happening on all all three of them, but Willow has a great outfit. Xander's wearing one of those shirts where the collar and the button part is very white.
I think that's a button placket.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I think.
Well, it's just very, like, it brought back memories, both of their outfits. Willow's shirt looked like those, like, Delia's thermals. I used to have like a million of them, like one with ducks and one with, you know, just
one
like,
with ducks.
Yeah, just like patterns. But Buffy.
What is she? Oh, she has the sweater around her shoulders.
But it's like not tied.
How is it?
It's
just a sweater that comes with the sleeves sewn together. It's for shoulder wearing.
It's like it looks like it's pinned together. I don't know.
Is that a thing? I feel like I've seen lots of people. But I guess maybe I'm used to seeing them with them tied.
Yeah, they're usually one sleeve wrapped in the other. So I don't know what's going on there, but I just had to call it out. I had to make sure that it gets its due. And then, we're done with this scene. The Scoobies, thank goodness, are reunited.
Back together again.
Back to business, back to friendship. And then stupid Anointed One.
Yeah, stupid mini turtleneck.
But he got a good laugh out of me. When he's like, I hate that girl. It was good. It was a good delivery, Anointed One.
Wow.
Well,
do we have anything else that we need to say about this episode?
Well, we touched on sexual tension. We got the patriarchy.
Yeah, those all the requirements are in.
Yeah, I think we got... Oh, I know. What? Giles got knocked out again.
Oh, yeah! So what do we say that is 5?
Yeah, because we miscounted last season.
Yeah, we thought there were 3, but there were really 4.
But there were 4, yeah.
From season 1?
There were 4 from season 1, and so now we're at 5.
All right. 5 knockouts for Rupert Giles.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of season 2.
Yes!
We are thrilled to be back.
So thrilled.
I'm Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not watching Buffy, I'm usually writing and recording songs. You can hear them and learn more about me at jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering, where I've curated a little playlist just for you guys of my non-Buffy songs. You can also give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs.
I'm Kristen Russo, and you can find me talking up a storm over at my Twitter account, Kristen Noeline, KristinnNoeline. When I'm not podcasting about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I work to bring advice, resources, and laughter to LGBTQ young people and their families over at everyoneisgay.com and mykidisgay.com.
Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter at BufferingCast and on Facebook at facebook.com/BufferingCast. You can shoot us an email at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
As always, you can support our work by leaving a review on iTunes for us or by sharing this podcast with your friends and loved ones who you think would enjoy it. And we have a brand new way for you to support us. In season 2, we have launched our own Patreon channel. Woo. Yeah, it's really exciting. We're found at patreon.com/bufferingcast. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a really incredible platform. It allows us to share all of our content for free. So like our podcast will always be up there for free. Any content that you were already getting, you will still get for free. Nobody panic. But what it also allows us to do is have levels of giving. And for each level, you get fun perks. So if you give $1 a month, you get to come to the Buffy watches that we will be doing every few months and sit with us, watch Buffy together with us. We did one on Halloween this past year. And so it's super fun, super great. If you give at the $5 level, you will get the MP3 file of the song every week sent to you before the release of the full album. And I don't know if you know how many episodes are in this season, but there's 22.
So it's going to be a little while before the album's out.
You can be patient and you can wait and totally understand. But if you are able to donate $5 a month, you will get those songs emailed to you and you can listen to them right away. And at the $10 level, you get all of that. So you're coming to the Buffy Watches, you're getting the MP3 files every week as they're released, and you also get the fun little songs too. So if we ever do like a, Spike jingle, for example.
Could happen.
Foreshadowing. You would get that as well. And with the $10 level, you also get 20% off of merch at all times. You get Q&A videos from Jenny and I. Every so often we'll come on, we'll open it up to questions that you can ask, and then we'll make a little video in response that you can see. And you'll also get some bonus mailbag episodes. We get a really good amount of mail from you all, and we're going to do some extra episodes for those $10 a month supporters. So go on over, check it out, patreon.com/bufferingcast. And you'll also see that our Union Hall show is up there for free as well. So if you want to go over there, you can download it or stream it and check out what we were up to in Brooklyn last December.
Yes! And don't forget, you can grab all of our songs from season 1 on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your digital music, or by heading over to bit.ly/shopbuffering, where we still have a few CDs available, as well as great shirts designed by Kristine Thune and great pins designed by our very own fashion watch correspondent, Kate Leth.
Yes. And last but certainly not least, if you are in the Los Angeles area, come out and see us on February 2nd at Nerd Melt Showroom. You can find out more at nerdmeltla.com. Again, that's February 2nd. I believe it starts at 7 p.m. It's going to be super fun. I think if we're on track, we're going to be talking about Reptile Boy.
Seems right.
Live, and we're going to have Chris Farron with us as a guest. We're also going to have
Brittany Nichols
as a guest. And we may have one or two additional fun surprise guests with us as well. So it's going to be really fun. Come check us out. We like you guys.
You're pretty great. We'll be back next week and every week forever with more episodes.
For literally forever.
Forever and ever.
These seasons are long now.
Whew. Okay. Till next time.
Ooh.
When it was done, I went away. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Left my friends behind and tried to forget. Now I'm back, it's all the same. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Nothing new except this dark inside me. I'm made of stone. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting you. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting you. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than. None of them can understand. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I don't need them, I can handle myself. But it's lonely where I am. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Now I'm feeling like I can't see clearly. Don't leave me alone. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting you. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting you. If you don't wanna get hurt, then you gotta be harder than. Got so wrapped up that I forgot about protecting you. Now we're here and I see clear that you protect me too. If we don't wanna get hurt, then we gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting us. If we don't wanna get hurt, then we gotta be harder than. If we don't wanna get hurt, then we gotta be harder than the thing that's hitting us. If we don't wanna get hurt, then we gotta be harder than.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.